Right, so moving swiftly on to the Waikura Linwood-Central-Heathcote Community Board and Chair Alexandra Davids. Alexandra, thanks for joining us. Good to see you. Look forward to hearing what you've got to present to us this morning.
Thank you. Kia ora koutou. I want to thank you all on behalf of the Waikura Linwood-Central-Heathcote Community Board for giving us the opportunity to be heard today, and also thank you for your time. At this time of uncertainty across the world, the board appreciates the time and effort put into pulling together this updated draft annual plan. As we don't have a huge amount of time this morning, I would like to take the board's submission as read, and I will speak to a few points, then leave time for any questions. The first point I would like to speak to today is the excess water use charges. While the board understands the current reasoning for this, they want to state the importance of it not setting a precedent. Speaking on behalf of a number of our communities, we have concerns this water delivery charge will negatively impact on some of our area's most vulnerable, lower socioeconomic households. Due to either cultural or economic reasons, these can be larger households requiring higher water use. The board would also like to add that many of our households in our area, due to the location, have much sandier soils and can require a lot more water for both gardens and food resilience means. The board would like to show support for a one-off payment to the Strengthening Communities Fund. We want to acknowledge the extra challenges that are being faced by our grassroots community organisations, especially when community needs are so high in our current climate. In regards to reductions in maintenance work and delayed renewal programs, the board raises a concern around the potential for limited opportunities for community discussion around the impact of the proposed reductions. The board asks that the council seriously consider how it will communicate effectively with all communities. We would also like to suggest the community board has more involvement prior to planning in order for us to help in the process and allow meaningful and realistic engagement with residents. In regards to the capital program, the board would like to say a huge thank you for the Linwood Pool Te Pou Toitoi. Having investment in this area is so important to this community, and you have many thankful and excited humans awaiting this development. Our sod turning is on Wednesday, and we're expecting a great turnout. We also thank the council for the work on the Linwood Village streetscape in the near future. This will enable this community to finally start progressing after it was ravaged by the quakes. In regards to Lancaster Park, the board support this work being continued, along with ongoing community involvement. This green space will be an invaluable area for the immediate community and surrounding communities from around the city. There are, of course, a number of projects we are signalling for the long-term plan. Some of these include the Greening of the East pilot project, the Pawaho to Ihutai project, the Linwood Park development plan, and improving Bromley's roads, parks and infrastructure. Just thank you again for your time, and if anybody has any questions.
Thank you very much. So in paragraph 2.3, you talk about the capital programme and the renewal programmes and reduction in maintenance work. You talk about how we should communicate. Does the board agree or disagree or have any view on what's proposed, rather than just the way we communicate that?
It is just really in the way that we communicate it. We understand that we do need to look at how we move forward in this time with lack of finances. But I think from the survey that was done in relation to how people really felt like they were heard from council, I think that if we actually start communicating better with our constituents and residents, then we will actually have more buy-in and people will understand the issues that we'll be facing.
Great, thank you. Any further questions? Jimmy?
That's one question. In particular, you raised the issue for all those access, the water use, the charge. You support in principle, but you're still concerned, probably in your work, probably more percentage of low socioeconomic household, even many household, etc. But how to mitigate this effect? Do you have any recommendation to the council?
I guess that from the board's perspective, we're really just pointing out the fact that there are going to be issues, we believe, within those families that do have more people within their households. We don't have the answers around how we can mitigate that, but we would just like council to be aware that if we are going to be affecting families now, we'd like to see some work done around that to, if it is going to carry on into the future, to actually look after those families when they're already struggling.
Thank you.
Thank you. Melanie?
You've got the Lancaster Park War Memorial Gates. Has the board had any information about how much money that might require?
Yanni?
No, we've had nothing.
No.
It's been raised at informal, it's raised through CCC. I mean, yeah, nothing.
No.
In fact, the council is supposed to get the report from the last annual plan on the board.
So we've got people making notes as we go through the questions and answers and the submissions, so it can be picked up.
So if we could get that information, that would be great.
Thank you. Anne and then Pauline. Anne.
Thank you. Hi, Alexander.
Hi.
Hi. You're the second board that's actually mentioned wanting to consider using DCs in the local area, that they're collected, and particularly in your space, you've got the, the infill kind of residential development. Mm-hmm. How do you see the DCs could be used, and in what way would they be effective?
I believe that there are different ways that they could be used within the communities, but I think in order to get something that's really truly effective for communities, it would actually be asking those communities that the DCs are in what they believe would make their area better. We know that greenscaping is something that's needed within a lot of these higher development areas as well. So I know that that is something that communities are kind of crying out for. So we haven't, or personally, and on behalf of the board, I don't believe that these communities have actually been spoken to, but I could be wrong. So.
Thank you. Pauline, and then I've got James.
Yeah,
Pauline.
look, thanks, Alex. I just actually wanted to address the volumetric excess water charging thing, and your concern about families who may have a lot of people in the home and they may use a lot of water. And we've been assured that no domestic use will ever trigger the excess charge. And even if they did, just know by showering and using household use, and even if they did, there are exemptions that they can apply for. So I just wanted to let you know that, because you'll be going out talking to people,
Yeah.
and it might be good to have that shared with them.
Thank you.
And I think that's the only reason that I personally have looked at, supporting this to go out for consultation, knowing that it's not going to affect people's household use.
Cool.
All right,
Thanks, Mum.
James, and then I've got Jake if there's time. James.
Kia ora, Alexandra. The current draft annual budget or plan has funding for the estuary edge, also known as the walkway around the side of the estuary, right, between the ponds. Is your board supportive of that?
That's not something we have discussed in this draft annual plan. It is something we have discussed in prior years, and I believe we have been supportive of that, yes.
And where it is now, where it's been proposed?
Yes.
Okay.
We haven't had discussions for a long time about that, though.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. And that leaves time for one quick question and answer from Jake. You all right? All right. Thank you. All right. Alex, thanks very much indeed for the presentation this morning.
Thank you.
And for the submission. Thanks very much
Thanks
indeed.
much.
Thank you.